Hello and welcome to the Crafty Kit Company Advent Kit reveal videos. So you may have got the Advent calendar for a Christmas present, you may have just saved it up to do after Christmas, or you just didn't get time in the lead up to Christmas and so you'd like to now catch up with the reveal videos of each day. So this is days 1 to 12, and each day you have a different person telling you, doing a reveal, opening up what's in the kit, what the project is, and some little tips for the day. Okay, so down below also in the description there's a menu, so that if you just want to shoot across to a particular project that you've got in your lovely little instructions, you can just zip along to that particular day as well. So hope this is nice and helpful, bringing it all together so you can easily find your videos, and as ever, happy felting.
Hi, I'm Kat, and today we're opening bag number 1 of the Advent Kit. So in the bag we have some wool, some salmon, loganberry and cream or white, and a template of a bobble hat. Well, before we start using the template, you'll need to get your needle felting pad, which is in your little bag of happiness, along with some of the needles that have been supplied. And in order to protect the mat and make it last a lot longer, we usually put a piece of felt over it. And when you're using a template, rather than using the needle inside direct onto the felt, it's quite a good idea to use a piece of paper. I don't particularly want to waste good quality paper, so I will find maybe an old envelope or a piece of information paper and use that. Also, what makes it easier, rather than it moving around a little bit, is I secure it with just a couple of little ordinary pins, like so it stops it moving around so much. So when you come to do the needle felting, you need to felt right into the corners and the edges of the template, and use small amounts and just build up until you've completely used the whole of the template and filled it. When you've done that, you can then decorate your bobble hat in whatever style you want. And here's some that I've done. I've actually used some of the wool that I had from previous kits, and I think that was from last year's challenge, and some other styles here that I've done. I've also taken some just plain embroidery cotton, and with a nice big needle I've gone through and I've put embroidery cotton through the end. That one's a white one, and some of these are golder colours, so that they can hang on the Christmas tree as decorations. Have a go and let's see what your makes look like.
Hi, it's day 2. I'm Vicky and I'm a craftaholic and a Crafty Kit superfan. And as you can see, I'm a bit camera shy. In bag number 2, you'll find all the materials needed to make the cute wee acorn on page 7 and 8 of the Advent booklet. When you open the bag, you'll find a small white felted wool ball, some rust wool, brown wool, black wool, white wool, salmon wool, and also a lovely Christmas card that you could send to a friend or a family member. When covering the white felted ball with the rust wool, I found it easier to do thin layers to get more of an even coverage. For making the hat, I found it easier to fold all the edges in and then stab it all down and build it up and make a separate stock part. But you may be able to just make it all in one. Part thicker, you could use soapy water and then let it dry and shape it while it's drying, or you could use some clear glue to make it firmer. To attach the hat to the ball, I simply stab down in the middle of the hat to attach it to the ball underneath. And there you have it, a cute little rosy cheeked acorn. If you've made your stem quite firm, you could add some thread or embroidery thread or some rustic string and make it into a Christmas tree hanging decoration. Or if you've got pipe cleaners, you could make him a body and make him into a real acorn person. Enjoy making them, and I look forward to seeing your photos.
Hello and welcome to the Crafty Kit Company Advent Calendar Day 3. I'm Stephanie Lester, and I had the privilege of designing today's project for you. So I'm just going to, first of all, I'm sure most of you have actually opened your envelope, which I will do in a minute on the overhead camera. But I just wanted to, first of all, bring up the picture that we've got here, Day 3, which is the pear. So that was the remit that I was given for this one, the pear, and I thought, well, what is the pear famous for over Christmas? And it's the partridge in the pear tree. So I designed a little partridge that we could do in 2D on top of a 3D pear. So we kind of got two things in one here. Okay, so let me go over to the overhead so we can actually look at what's in the packet. Now this is the tech. Let's see if we can get this right. Okay, whiz over. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. And we're here. Yay! And you can see me too. Right, here we go. So I have done the deed of ripping off to start with, because I thought I can, flounce around with that for hours and nobody needs to see that. Okay, let me bring out all the glorious colours and pieces. So you have got your piece of felt. So this is for tracing the pattern of the partridge and also a little leaf of the pear on. We've got the core wool white. We've got these two gorgeous greens. Now I absolutely love these greens. Now let me remind myself of what they're called. So this is the sunflower wool, the green blend. That's got the quite luminous, gorgeous. And this other one I think is moss green, ditching green. Yeah, lovely. And then we've got all these beautiful colours. And you've got more than enough than you need for the project. So lots over for your little partridge. And you might actually want to do it on both sides. You might want to do another. If you've got some extra core wool, you could easily do another pear. And do another partridge. Okay, so there we go. Right, so let's go on to some tips for the project. So first of all, we need obviously to make the pear, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through in a minute with regards to making that shape a little bit, how to do it, because we tie a knot to start with and wrap the wool around and get that shape going. So I'm very aware that we've actually got some newbies to Crafty Kit Company Advent Kit, as well as newbies to needle felting, and I know obviously we've also got some people who've been doing it for a while, so I'm hoping to sort of add some tips for everybody. Okay, I'm also going to cover the wrapping of the brown wool around the needle to create the stalk, because that might be something that some of you haven't come across. Now let's just get and find, Steph, don't flip through so everybody can see everything. So at the back you have actually got your template of your partridge. So you need to either get tracing paper or a piece of ordinary paper, really, you can probably see it through, and just trace it over. And you need to do two of them, or photocopy. If you've got a printer at home that does the photocopy function, then just do a photocopy. Do two of them, okay, and we'll come back so that I don't start showing you things that I shouldn't do. There we go. Because under there nicely, yep. Okay, so you're going to use one of them so that you can actually trace the outline onto the felt, and then the other ones, if you just snip particular, so you've got the inside lines, just so that you can mark the inside lines. Now here's one I've done earlier. Okay, so I've also shown where I've actually done a leaf quite close, which shows you could probably get another one. Now those of you who are quite good at the 2D needle felting might actually want to just do this straight onto the pear. Brilliant, go for it. I personally found it easier, because obviously the pear is rounded and distorts it a bit. I found it easier to cut out the shape on the felt, put it onto my mat, create it there, be happy with it, cut it out, and then felt it onto the piece. That's me, that's how I designed it, but you do it however it suits you. Okay, so let me just take that off again. So yeah, so these bits obviously just match around. Now pen, I use a gel pen and I just dab it around in dots to start with, and just very lightly, because the thing is, you're not going to see any of these lines. It doesn't really matter how dark or anything they are, because you are going to completely cover it with wool felted into it. So don't worry about that too much. And yeah, add the little eyes, add as much details as you think you need, because you're going to cover it up anyway. Okay, now the other little tip regarding that is that I know for project on day one you had a little template and you did that into your mat, and one of the tips for that is to put paper underneath so that it stops you from sticking to your mat. I also have another second way. If that's brilliant, because everyone's got paper. Okay, you can do that wherever you are, grab a bit of paper, good to go. If you're doing it a bit longer term and you're thinking, well, actually it would be great if there was another option, what I do is I find some very, very nylon plasticky gauze. This is actually got quite big holes in it, but sometimes I use some with very thin holes in. And whether you're doing a full 2D picture or just a little bit of 2D like we're doing today, I would actually do that direct onto there. Okay, so all of the felting that I'm doing into there, if I go too far through, I'm still only going between the holes. It kind of stops too much of the wool being felted. But the best part is when you come to actually take this off your mat, is you pull this up, and so you pull this up and off, and you don't distort this bit at all. And that for me was a game changer when I learnt that for all of my little pieces of 2D, because I'm not brilliant at 2D. 3D is my thing. So when I finally got something right on my mat, I quite like to keep it like it. So the gauze is the thing which works for me. Okay, so any more tips regarding the colours? Okay, I'm going to show you my completed one here. Should have done that before really, but there you go. Okay, so this is my completed pear. So I love the pear shape, it's great, isn't it? It's got that great buxom bottom, which then shapes up. So yeah, as you can see, cut it out, do all the bits as in the instructions. I'm not trying to just pad over that. You've got the instructions telling you what to do. But yeah, I mean, do the colorways differently if you want to do it your own way. As you can see, I've gone slightly different actually, even though the pattern here has got 3 little lines down. Well, you'll probably see it better on that. 3 little lines down there. I actually chose to do just one when I got there. There are lots of little teardrops in there. I actually chose just to put a couple on there. You can do whatever you want to do, and with regards to the template, this bit obviously doesn't really come across. You can just do your thin lines and then your little dots at the top, which I might show you if I get time at that point. Okay. If you have something that you think, how on earth do you do that? Put a question below this video and I will come back and answer it, either with a picture or with a little mini video, just to show you how to do it. Because this is the thing, I don't know what you don't know or what you need help with. Okay, right, I think that covers the partridge. Fantastic. Now I want to just cover the first bit, which is the creating the pear shape. Okay, so you have your wall. Now the first thing is the elves at Crafty Kit have managed to squidge up the wall and get it as small as possible so that we can fit it all into the bags and have that for us. Oh, did you see? Now, can you see that dot which comes up? Now I'm completely changing the subject here, but I just noticed, actually I'm going to do, let's see if this works actually. If I put 2 thumbs up, look at that, fireworks behind me. You've got to be looking at me to get that. I just found that recently on my Apple computer when I was in the middle of a Zoom call. Somebody said something and I said, oh brilliant, and stuck 2 thumbs up, and then all these fireworks went off. Anyway, just saying, completely sidetracked obviously. Yes, so anyway, the elves at Crafty Kit Company wrap up all the wall brilliantly so that we can fit it all in. I couldn't wrap it up again when I'd already opened it to check everything, and to come on here and do the live I couldn't do it, so there you go. Now what that means is when your wall springs out of the package, what I would do, especially with your core wall, is I would flounce it up. I'd give it a bit of take it from the top and just pull it out so you've got nice springy wall, because it will be nice and flat in your package. Because I know a part the felting is to knock all the air out so that you can then create a lovely condensed shape. But while it's fluffy, you can shape it and do lots of wonderful things with it. And it gives you time to do the felting and get it into shape. So my advice is fluff it up first. Seems like you've got a lot more to start with. Okay, and with your other colours as well, because obviously you will be laying these down very small bits at a time, in the same way that Kat was saying in Project 1 for the little template of the hat, where do it bit by bit. That's exactly the same when you're doing the partridge. Do it little piece, bit by bit. So it's quite good to flounce it up so you can take off your little pieces. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. You have so much wool here, that's fantastic. Right, now, okay, anybody who is new and has not done this process with me or any of us here at Crafty Kit Company before, to create this shape, we have got our long piece. We pull this in half, okay? So we start off with a smaller bit. We're going to tie a knot in it twice. Why are we going to do that, Steph? I'll tell you why we're going to do that. So that you've got your really nice core there in the middle, and then you can wrap the wool around it and create that fabulous shape. So that knot is really mainly going to be in here, so we can get and roll it up. So let's see if we can do that. So an overhand knot. Lovely. Don't need to do it too tightly, but just so that it's got that nice. Okay. There we go. Now if your wool that you've got is thinner and you do that knot and you think, well, that's not very, big, just do as many as you need to do to get it nice and, it's still squishy, but it's just got a nice core to it. Okay. So then I'm going to wrap that around. There we go. Grab my needle. I'm going to grab which needle am I going to grab? I'm going to grab my green needle and just do a couple little tack. Now, we're felting into the centre, not all the way through. Yeah. We don't want to take our needle all the way through to the mat, we're just taking it into the centre of the piece because we're trying to condense the wool. by taking it into the centre and it all entwining and felting. Great. Okay, so we're starting off now. So now, because I'm going to try and get that shape, I sort of squidge it around a bit and think, actually, I think what I'm going to do is squidge that up and then make that bottom part that, and then I can wrap it up for the top, yeah? Okay, hopefully you get my drift. There we go. And that was the blue needle, no, green needle, excellent. The green needle is the one, and then we just tack a bit more in. Okay. There we go. I don't want to make this a full-on tutorial, but I noticed we had some beginners who said they were struggling perhaps with shapes. So let's take a few smaller pieces here and just, once again, we know that our bottom part is going to be wider, and then wrap it up and wrap it back. Okay. It's almost like a coat at the top, you know, wrap it round, wrap it down. Okay. Now I'm not going to do this right the way through, but hopefully you can see how I'm wrapping that shape. Now you need to obviously felt with your needle. Certainly at this stage I would use the green needle, just so that you can get that shape started. Now you can take smaller pieces off and then shape the next bits to make sure it comes out. See? See how this one is bigger because you need to felt it more down. Hopefully that gets you going. Brilliant. For the shapes, excellent. Okay, I need to make some more pairs there now, don't I, for that? Right, what was my other... Oh yeah, the stalk, wasn't it? So I'm just going to look at my notes here. The stalk. So to get that nice little sausage shape for the stalk, for me, now there are lots of different ways of doing it. Okay, so if you've got a way of doing it works for you, you just go with that. If you're new, you might want to try lots of different ways and find the way that works for you. The way that works for me whenever it comes to sausage shapes like this, especially thin ones, is to use my needle and wrap the wall around it. If you've got a cocktail stick or something like that, equally good. Okay. I mean in this case we don't need a thicker one, but if I need a thicker tube then I use a pencil, you know, etc, etc. Right, okay. So how do we do this? We hold this end up here with, depending on whether you're right or left-handed, okay, you can do this either way. I don't know whether I'm showing you left-handed or right-handed because I can never remember whether I do this in a left-handed or right-handed way. But whichever way feels easier, either hold it in your right hand and wrap round with your left, or hold it in your left hand and wrap round with your right. But the best way to do it is to have the wall over the back and pull it up under. Okay, so take it over the back, pull it up under. Now, you're not pulling this hugely tightly so that you're splitting the wall. You're just wrapping it so that it's staying on the needle. Okay, overlapping it as you go down. Don't worry about making this too long because you can cut it shorter. Okay, down to as far as we want to go, and then back up. Always when you're wrapping things, go down and then come back up, because that just helps you to secure it. Okay, so I've got a little bit over at the top which I'm just going to take off and wrap round. Now you can take your other needle and you could felt that little end in place if that makes you feel more secure. Also, you can take this in your hand and just rub it between your hand. Someone said to me the other day, oh gosh, is that not going to hurt? Well, firstly, the barbs are actually down there, but rubbing it this way doesn't actually hurt your hand in the barbs. It will be pulling it in and out, which would. But if that worries you, or you're teaching a young child, probably best to use a cocktail stick. Okay, so just rub that, and what we're doing here is creating heat, which is just entwining the fibres. Okay, so it's just helping to felt it, and then we just pull the needle out the top, and you have a tube which you may well, with my lighter needle, want to just felt a little bit more into the middle. Now I'm doing it at an angle because I do not want to get this pushed into my mat, so I do it at an angle like that in to just give it extra strength. Okay, and you can just keep doing that. Also, I think it was Kat the other day was saying that if she wants to help the felting process, she might use a bit of water and soap. I don't tend to do that because I'm very messy, and if you take me anywhere near wet felting, and it's not good. Okay, so hopefully that explains that. If you want to neaten up the ends, then it is just a case of putting your needle down the end and being very careful to just keep it within there and not come out and stab yourself. Okay, so hopefully that explains that. Was there anything else I was going to go for? No, I think I've covered those bits about the shape. So yeah, I mean, basically be as adventurous and playful as you want. If you think, actually, I just like the pear, I'm going to stay with the pear. I haven't talked about the leaf because that is just a case of cutting that piece out and just adding as much colour as you want and then felting it on. But as I say, any help that you need, then ask below, and can always come on and add a piece of either photo information or a video for you. Not a problem. All right. I personally loved creating this. I loved it. So yeah, either just do the pear, do the partridge on the pear, do the partridge on the back and front, do many of them, whichever. Okay, brilliant. Really excited to see what you create. So now before I go, I'm going to just come on an update because I obviously doing the Advent along with you. I've created my little hat and my little acorn. That little acorn is just a gorgeous. I think we should make little acorn families really and hang them off trees and things. I won't go into it today, but can you just see above my head I've got some lights over there which are little rings, and I'm going to hang my little miniature projects in there. I actually did my hat both sides so that I can hang from my tree and it won't matter if he swings around, but I just thought it was beautiful, and I'm obviously going to have to make some other colours as well to go with it. Brilliant. So I hope that has been helpful. Let me come back to the other. Boom, boom, boom. Here we go, swinging around. There we go. So I hope that's been helpful. Any more tips, then obviously ask. I will be back tomorrow with day 4. So yeah, so basically if you've got any questions that I can cover tomorrow, let me know today, and I will do the opening of tomorrow's and any tips for tomorrow, and I can add those on the end as well. Okay, right, brilliant. So as I say, really looking forward to seeing what you create, and see you tomorrow. Happy felting. Hello and welcome to the Crafty Kit Company day 4. I had to think about it then. What day were we on? Day 4. So there are, I'll get my little reminder, 21 days till Christmas. Fantastic. So what project are we doing today? Let's open our booklets and we go to the mini bell. So it's a mini project today. So using the little balls, which I think they're fantastic, aren't they? Because even if after Christmas and you're thinking, oh, what little project can I do with those little balls? Just grab yourself some more balls, which I believe Jo does have on the website, the Crafty Kit Company, and fantastic for you with the kids or by yourself and all the different things. I mean, the first day 2 project by Nikki, which was the little mini acorn, which I know so many people have loved. How brilliant to make a little family of that. Or Anna did a little body on it, didn't she, on her one, so you could actually go, you know, as far as you want to go with those projects. And today's one is the mini bell. So before I go to the packet opening and the overhead camera, so I've got my two, well, half. I've got my little rusty bell here, and I've also got my 3rd degree coloured bell. Well, I've only done it half. The other half is normal, so that I can just sort of show you a little bit about how little, the small amount you need to add to give it that kind of thing. I'm just slightly obsessed, by the way, with the verdigris effect with this bubblegum colour over the rust. I'm doing a whole thing with it on my own because I love the effect so much. I think it looks brilliant. So I'm going to go over to the mat and we're going to show some tips on doing our little bells. But once again, you know, what a great way. You could actually get yourself some grey and do silver ones. I mean, I know the little ball almost, you know, denotes the size, but you could still go bigger around that, or get a bigger ball and make a bigger one. Okay, so I'm going to go to the overhead. I'm going to open the envelope proper, show you a few tips, or at least just explain my thoughts for the mini project, and then after that I'm going to go over and show you, I mentioned yesterday about my lights behind and my Scandi trees, and I'm going to show you how I'm displaying this year's Advent. Okay, so let's start by going over, and once again that's whizzing over here. Bum, bum, bum. Here we go. Do you like my Christmas leopard, by the way? Very red, isn't it? Right, here we go. Brilliant. I'm going to bring my little bells over. Have them displayed there. Cute. Right, so to the envelope. I am now going to be referring to the envelopes as tracing paper envelopes, because one of the things which was mentioned by Ruth on my last video was that she uses these bags when we've got a template for tracing it, and then also when there are lines like there was in the last one for the pheasant, for poking through the paper and then with the pen just going over those little holes, which gives her little dots of the inner lines and things. Brilliant. I mean, I just love it. I'm very much love a bit of recycling and reusing, and what a great way. So let's just take our colours out here. We've got the fabulous white for the core, our rust, our brown, and our bubblegum. And oh no, the little balls over here. It escaped. And then we've got the lovely card. Oh, beautiful little horse. So, and you've got the envelopes which came in your little bags of happiness, so that you can send those to family and friends. Beautiful. Right, so yes, so this little bag now, which is so, you know, easy to pull apart and use. So save all those. Excellent. Pop that there. Right, so this is what we've got. And we start off, let me turn the instructions over so that, because obviously I'm not going to go all through it, I'm just going to explain in case it's not clear, because these are the small projects and we try to, you know, get them written down in as short a way as possible. So I'm just going to show you, these are the pictures really, which are, you've got on your picture 1, which shows your little ball. I think that looks like a Christmas light bulb, don't you, where you sort of plug it in. Anyway, just saying. Shape, and then which turns into this shape. Okay, so we're doing all of that with our piece of core wool. And then we're doing the filling out and colouring with the rust. And then if you want to, you can do some effect with the bubble gum. And the dark brown is for filling in our centre, where obviously it's dark. Okay, and the rust, we need to save a little bit of rust for doing our, are they called clangers? Did I write what it was called? Did I write what it was called? Crown from the, I don't know. Clapper. Clanger. It's a clapper. Yes. So that's the crown. And that's the clapper. Lovely. Brilliant. Oh, you know, yesterday I said every time I do that and I get the, there you go. Woohoo. Now, I know I mentioned this yesterday and I am, once again, I am slightly obsessed with it. And that when you go okay, you get a little okay bubble come up. And there are other things as well. I think I could make it rain. I can't remember what all the other things are. But anyway, is one down? Does that do something? Just one? Oh, just bad. Okay. Anyway, obviously sidetracked. So just to explain how we get from this to this and to this, because instructions as I've written them, you know, shape the ball, add it around. So just to explain a little bit. So once again, fluff up all your wool so that you've got, you know, more to choose from. And so what we want to do is just create ourselves a little column and then add it. Okay. And the only reason we're doing that is so that then we've got something that we can wrap around to actually make the shape. That's it. You know, it's not rocket science apart from that. So, and in this case, you know how much I love to wrap things around, you know, pencils and needles, etc. But actually in this case it's just as easy to roll it up. Let me see how we just roll that up, and then let me use my green needle just to tack that in and just to condense it slightly, you know, because we're trying to make this to be a little bit of a structure in the middle that we can wrap our wall around, but I'm not going to go any more than that. Okay, and then on mine, this is sort of the flouncier end. It's just a case of popping it on top like that. Yeah, and so I'm going to hold that down, and then once again with my needle then felt that down into the little ball and go all the way around. I'm just doing it like little tacky stitches, so you can see that that's actually attached already. And then because this doesn't have to be big, I'm then felting down the middle, down the column of it, because that will give it structure as well. And then it's just a case of, you know, however big you decided you wanted yours. Let me get my ruler, because that might help, because you do not have to follow the exact sizing. Whatever yours turns out to be is just fine. So let's first of all do it. So the body of that one is under 4 centimetres. What about that one? That's under 4 centimetres. What is it in inches? 1.5 inches. There you go. You see how that's 1.5 inches already. So it really doesn't need to be much, and it certainly doesn't need to look pretty, because it's just there so that you've then got that shape done. Grab a bit more, because we're just trying to create that skirt around the bottom. Yeah, so that it looks like this. It looks like a little piece from like a Ludo set, doesn't it? Something like that. Anyway, just see. Anyway, we're just trying to now wrap this bit round so that we get that skirt, so that we can then fill that in. So I quite like, now here's another little tip. I was just going to rub that a little bit in my hand, just so that I get more of a roll without me rolling it tightly. Now, one way you can make that easier to do is to have a little glass of water and put some wet on your hand. The other way I find to do it is to put hand lotion on my hands. Now, I've been doing this all day, so I've got very soft hands. Just put it all over there, give it a bit of a... I've probably put a little bit too much on because I'm having to rub it on my arms. So just so you've got a little bit. And now when I grab it and do my rub, just to give it a nice little... So it's got more of a roll to it. It's not, you know, deeply felted or anything. It's just, it's more under control. That's what it is. It's under control. And then we take that round the bottom. At any time, just squish it down if it's too big. In fact, let's have a little check to make sure we haven't gone too wild with it. Yeah, it's still there, still at that. So I would initially tack the end in, because then I know I can just wrap it around like that. And then I'm just going to get my lighter needle a minute, the blue one, that is. You've got a blue one and a green one. I'm just going to lightly tack the top part into the body, because that's naturally going to give you a skirt if I just do that all the way around. I'm not going to do this all the way through. I just wanted to show you about shaping. I know shaping can be the most difficult part of any of the projects. So that obviously I would need to felt that a bit more, but decide how wide you want it. And if at this stage, because it's still nice and soft, you think, well, actually I'm going to pull that out and make that a bit bigger, so that squish it down, squish it all over, squish it, pull it, and then felt it in place. So that's where I was saying about it's great to have it fluffy, because then you can pull it all about. Fluffy is flexible. So you can put it all around and do what you want with it. So I've still got a nice piece here which I can actually fill in and make the shape, and then the next stage is to add the colour all over, and then the dark in the middle, and then you make your little clanger and you make your little crown pieces. And once again, that is just, in fact I would, before you start wrapping the rust all over it, is take a small piece off so that you've got enough to make your little clanger and to make your little crown pieces. So as you can see in 4, 5A and 5B, that's done by wrapping it around the needle, making a long piece, cut it in half, and then you can crisscross. Now when I made this one, what I did do is when I'd got the two pieces, I put them on here in a crisscross, felted it in the centre, and then added it to the top. But you know, whichever is easiest for you. You just do whichever works for you, because we're all different. And then the clanger, you know, once again, it's just a little piece. And then I rolled over the end just to make the clapper, not the clapper, Steph, clapper. Right, the clapper, boom. Now, the verdigris, which is the bubble gum. Now you need very, very little of this. So you pull it off and make it very, very, very light. Can you see how light that amount is? And use your light needle, the blue one. Make sure I'm still in the camera view, okay? Because you need to still see that rusty colour through. And then you just lightly tap it on with your light needle. The needle will not go in very far. It's kind of the same feeling as when you're doing the 2D, because you do not want to felt it. You don't want to take the wool into the centre, okay? What you want to do is have it felted on top. Therefore, you need to lightly felt it on top, which goes for any projects when you're colouring in, as it were, on the top. You need to take a light hand, a light tapping action to keep it on top. In fact, when you're adding the crown to the top and you need to add, attach it, when you're felting the piece into the top to do that, it might be useful to take a little extra bit of the rust and felt it in, because by adding something and felting it into the centre, that will actually help to hold it in place. Okay, but when we're doing this and just adding a colour and adding an extra topping, we really are just lightly tapping it. Think about it, when you look at your needle and the first notch that you come to, that's as far as you're actually felting it in. Okay, just to that first notch. Okay, anyway, I'm not going to finish that. I just wanted to show you how lightly you needed to do it to kind of give that third degree effect. Now, one other bit, which isn't in the instructions, but when I opened my little bag of happiness and I thought, oh, ooh, there's bells in there. And I thought, do you know what? I could take, you can probably hear it better, one of my little bells here, even a couple of them if I wanted to, and add it to the clapper so that when you shook it, it made a little noise. And I thought that would be nice, just to the edge there and there. So in fact, you don't necessarily have to go too way out in making the bulb at the end, and you could just add a little bell and then it will make the noise. So just a thought, just a thought. Okay, so I think that's where we are with our mini project. So with our two little bells. I hope you have fun creating those, and it'd be great to see all the different versions that you come up with. Now I'm going to go over to my phone camera, which is pointed at my backdrops here, because I think I did the live on my personal page, although I think it was copied into here, just where I showed my Scandi tree and my lights at the back there, and I noticed that Janet also showed her Scandi tree with her little acorn displayed on it, and which was brilliant. So I'm not the only one with a Scandi tree, but I just want to show you what I've done so far with mine. Okay, so let's first of all go over. There you go. Okay. Oh, right. Here we are. Now I'm going to go the other side. There we go. I am still in camera shot, but I'm going to pick up my phone now. So I need to keep an eye on what you can actually see and not see. Here is my little fella in his ring of fire, I suppose, really, isn't it? I can't tell what's a good look, so I'm just going to go with that because at least he's in shot. So yeah, there he is in his little lights, and I love these, and I'm going to do this. There are only 10, I think 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, so I can only put 10 of the projects in. But I thought actually I could put a couple in there, and I can put the bells in another one. So my Scandi tree. So I'm going to come over to this Scandi tree first. Oh, I haven't got my lights on. Very remiss of me, isn't it? Oh, sorry, I don't mean to. I'm going to put that on there so that I'm not zooming it around and giving you seasickness. There we go. Put the lights on. Put the lights on. Other ones. There we go. And if I turn that, does it look better? Can you see that better? Oh, that's pretty, isn't it? That's nice. Right, okay. So you can see that, but you probably can't see the next, can you? I've got my little hat from Nicky's Design on Monday, and obviously I've got my little acorn over there, and I've got my little pear. Let me see. I might have to wait till I turn the lights back on again, but I've got my little pear there. Let me turn the lights back on, because I quite like the selection of pieces that I can put on a tree and display, or in a decoration like the little rings. And I really like having the pieces which stand on their own. It's like last year. Actually, my favourite piece from last year was the little donkey. Okay, I'll put you on here. Oh, it's very bright, isn't it? Yeah, my favourite last year was the little donkey, and I had him on my mantelpiece. And I thought, I do like a bit of a standalone. So I actually have got my pear there. A partridge on a pear, standing alone. And I shall say no more than that. But there you go. So that's how I've displayed my pieces so far. In fact, I'm probably going to do a display of last year's Advent kit pieces. There we go. Hopefully that won't spoil the surprise for anybody if I did from last year. Okay, let me come back to my seat. There you go, back. So yeah, just thought I'd give you a little shoot around there as to what I've done with my pieces. Because I think sometimes we wonder, don't we? We struggle. We make lots of, still got to do something with this little chap. We make loads of pieces and then we think, how are we going to display them? Or even if you give them as a gift, I think making a tree, one of the Scandi trees, which the one that you can see there, which was my made one, one that I made, the other one I bought, but I need to decorate that more. But I've actually since thought that one there, because I used the taupe colour for the macrame down the side, I've suddenly thought I've bought some red string and I'm going to use that, I think, which will make it look more Christmassy with the red down the side. And I must admit, I was a bit inspired by Janet's Scandi tree because she had red berries, didn't she, down the side? I was a bit jealous, I've got to be honest. So I thought I need to make a bigger effort, I think, with that one. Because I was thinking once I decorated it with all my pieces, you know, it'll be full. But actually, I think it needs something else. It has got lights on, which are twinkling, but probably not enough. Perhaps I should put some colour lights on. Yeah. Anyway, enough. I've gone on again, enough. So, really looking forward to seeing your little bells, as we say. And mine will jingle quite soon because I definitely am going to put the little jingles. Can you hear that? There you go. My little jingle. I'm definitely going to put that on. I'm so pleased that they were added in so that I can do that, an extra decoration. Okay, right. I'm going to leave you to it and you can enjoy the rest of your day, hopefully making things from your advent calendar. So, happy felting.
Hi, my name's Heather and today it's the 5th of December. Let's open bag number 5 and see what's inside. So, inside the bag you will have a little packet, and inside here you will find some red and green embroidery thread and your brooch back. You will have a piece of red felt with your embroidery needle in, and also a piece of green felt. You'll also need your little bag of beads from your little bag of happiness, and all of these items will make this beautiful poinsettia brooch. Now, as you can see, it is very sparkly. I do like a bit of sparkle. And to add the sparkle, I just used a little bit of eco glitter, and I sprayed a little bit of hairspray first and then sprinkled on the glitter to help it stick. To cut out the petals, obviously there is a template in the back of the book. Now, you can either photocopy the template so that you've still got the original, or I like to use freezer paper. It's a bit like tracing paper, except it has a plastic coating on the back. And what you can do is you can use it to trace out your pattern pieces on, and then if you just gently iron these onto your felt, they stick to it. You can then cut around them and you can reuse these, so if you did want to make more brooches you could iron these back onto the felt. For my next tip, if you do find it a little bit tricky to sew your brooch backs on, you can just use a pair of scissors to make a couple of little snips in the piece of felt that goes on the back of your flower, just like this, and then you can simply slide your brooch back through the hole and out the other side, and then when you close it, it's not able to come off. So for my final tip, I'm going to show you how to do a blanket stitch. So I like to use the loop method, so I get one piece of thread, fold it in half, and then thread it so that the loop is hanging down at the bottom. Then I will go through the felt to the back, pull through and catch the loop, and that will secure my thread to the felt, just like so. And then I will go back down through the felt and it will leave a little loop, and I will bring my needle back up through the loop, give it a pull, and you can see it started to form that blanket stitch. So if you are right-handed, you will work from the right and you will go anti-clockwise to the left, and if you're left-handed you will do the opposite. So again, I'm going through the front of the felt to the back, pulling it until it makes a small loop, using my needle and going up through the loop and pulling it again, and you can see there it's making the stitch. I'll just demonstrate that a couple more times for you. Through the felt to make a loop, needle up through the loop, give it a pull, and again through the felt, needle up through the loop and give it a pull, and you can keep going around the leaf all the way to the end, and then I'll just make a little knot when I get to the opposite end and hide it inside. I hope some of you find those tips useful, and I can't wait to see the brooches that you make. Post your pictures in the group, and Merry Christmas to you all. Just 20 more sleeps to go.
Hi, my name is Bex and I'm going to be doing day 6 of the Crafty Kit Advent Calendar with you today. So let's just open day 6 together. You've got a nice little Christmas card, and in here is a small white felted ball. You have raven wool black, buttercup wool which is yellow, and then you've got your scarlet bright red, and you have got some white. So today I'm going to show you a couple of little tips that I use to create my little mini penguin. So first of all, I've taken the tip from day 1 from Kat to use the felt to keep my pad nice and clean. So when I first did this little ball, I found it was very fiddly in the fingers, so what I did was I got a needle and just placed it so it was secure on my mat. Now when you are needle felting on one of these balls, they are very compact, so they can break your needle. So I always use the blue, the finer size, to just felt onto the ball. Now I like my things to be fluffy, so I decided that the little bubble on my hat, I would use one of my reverse needles that I purchased before at the Crafty Kit company to achieve this. So how you use the reverse needle is opposite how you would normally use a needle. You would put it in and pull out, and then the wool comes outwards and it creates a fluffy look. Now this can be a little bit untidy, so what you do is you just get a pair of scissors and you just gently take off any loose hairs. Okay, so as you can see, I've decided to make this into a decoration so that it can go on my tree. So I've used a paper twine. You can use embroidery thread, wool, anything that you think you can dangle that's pretty onto your tree. I used my tool, which is an owl, to poke a hole to be able to secure my twine. So this is my little mini penguin. I hope you like it, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did too. And I hope you all have a lovely Merry Christmas.
Hi and welcome to day 7 of the Advent Reveal. I'm Stephanie Lester and I designed today's project, which is Christmas tree. Okay, so let's show you my little sample here. So here's my Christmas tree. Now, my remit for this was just Christmas tree, and I was trying to decide a good way to do something for the Advent calendar which perhaps we could decorate more, that would be a good standalone and also would represent Scotland. So I decided to give it a tartan so that it's a Scots pine. Excellent. So anyway, I picked the colours. I've used obviously these greens a lot on the pear and on the tree. I just think they're brilliant shadings of the greens and go with so many in these blues. But as with all these makes, you know what, you might make the piece and have it with the green and think, do you know, I like it like that, and I'm just going to do my different decorations on top. Or you might like to go bolder with your colours. Well, obviously the colours we've included in your package today are these lovely blues and greens to go around. And I'll go to the overhead camera in a minute and we'll look at exactly what's in the package. And I'll give you some techniques for making the shapes and also for doing the stripes. Because I know stripes, both thin and thick, can be a bit of a trial. Painting within the lines and all that. And obviously we have our Queen of Glitter, Heather, who undoubtedly there will be some glitter on here somewhere, so I leave that up to her. But also, you know, in your little bags you did get bells and you did get beads, and I thought, you know, those little beads might look lovely, mightn't they, actually, to be added over the crisscrosses. Or, you know, if you wanted to go without some of the pattern and use that instead. But I thought, yes, I was just thinking how I would actually incorporate some beads into mine and perhaps sew them in. But I thought I'd leave it as it was for now so that we can come on and actually talk about it. Okay, so I'm going to go to my overhead camera. Let me pop that down to start with. Right, let's go over to the overhead camera and swing myself back in so that actually I'm over here. There we go. Grand. So, envelope number 7. Here we go. Make sure I've got all the room. Don't get my cup of water, which is about to, you know, if you're going to knock it over. Trust me, I will. Right, and I've got my pencil. Right, okay, so first of all, let's look at what's in the pack. So we've obviously got our white core. We've got about 20 grams of that. And by the way, lots of the, you know, measurements which are down, obviously 20 grams for that. How how did I describe it? Let's have a little look. I think it was called hand wraps, wasn't it? Yes. Because last year we were saying that we don't always have, you know, the appropriate scales around to actually measure things out. So if you wanted to then make another one and actually work out how much you needed or something, then a hand wrap is literally just wrap around your hand and then twice round. Okay, so if you just wanted a hand wrap round, oh, have I got that in the camera shot? I'm too busy looking the wrong way. Round, hand wrap once and twice, so that's 2 hand wraps. Okay, great. That gorgeous colour, what's that colour called again? Sunflower, that's it. It's a lovely blend. It's just got some really gorgeous, it's got dark and light, hasn't it, which kind of makes it that luminous. It's fabulous. Well, I like it. Dark brown, which is for our base, and our red, which is for our ribbon round the base and also our ribbon on top. But you know, if you've got a star or something else that you want to put on there, then obviously go ahead. And then our 2 wonderful colours for doing our stripes. This is a lovely green and blue blend, and this has got a little bit of, is this the bubble gum? Anyway, it's got some lovely colours in that as well. So I think they go fabulously together with that. Gorgeous. Right, so what am I going to go through today? So firstly, we talk about taking the wool and splitting it so that you've got 3/4 for the body and 1/4 for the base. And in my world, I think it's always good to split it at the start, because then you know you've got enough, and then if you've got a little bit over, you can add it once you've actually made your shapes. So the easiest way to do this is to just fold it in 4. Okay, fold it in 4 and then pull 1/4 off, put it to the side, and then that can be your base ready to go. Okay, now do we decide to do the cone first? I think so, don't we? Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. Let me check. Roll the larger section of wool into a sausage shape. Yes. Right. Divide into 1/4. Begin to roll the larger section of wool into a sausage shape. Add more wool to one end to the other. Yeah. Okay. Now, my other suggestion of doing this is, yes, you can roll a sausage and get it so that you've got more up this end, obviously, than you do down this end. But another way of doing this that in my world is much easier is to use a pencil to wrap it around. And I could also, you know, straight away measure that to be 11 centimetres, because I believe it's 11 centimetres. So yeah, measure that to be 11 centimetres, hold it there, and then I can wrap it up and down and know that it's actually going to be that right shape. So once again, I would split it, but before I do that, I will also say what I said before about fluffing it up. Okay, because we're doing nice lot of wrapping here and building up, it's nice to have it nice and fluffy to start with. So let's do that before we take it off. So I'm going to start by pulling that in half, and then I'm also going to split it. Okay, which gives me at the moment 4 opportunities to go up and down. Okay, here we go. Let's leave that one in the way. So I've got my little measure here. So yeah, 11 centimetres is there. So that's where I'll hold my finger to start with. I mean, you can mark it, you know, with a pen or something so that you don't lose your place. I'll just move that around a bit. Is it that way? There we go. Okay, so that I don't lose my place. And take this wool and put it underneath, because what we want to do always when you wrap is put it under and over, because you've got opportunity here to just hold it nice and tightly. Oh, that went fuzzy, didn't it? There you go. You can pull it a bit tighter with it very, very close, but don't pull it tighter from out here because you'll just split the wool. Okay, but on this occasion, I don't think we're going to be pulling too tightly. So we just start. Now keep this as ribbon-like as you can rather than string-like, okay? Because that's why, you know, we fluff it up, make it nice and flat, and then we can wrap it, and so not tightly, that's fairly loosely. As you can see, we're overlapping as we go. Doesn't need to be neat. Get to the top, always come back down again. You're not necessarily going to make it all the way down, but here I have made it all the way down, and then wrap it round, and it's there. It's not going to move, and I'm not going to bother at this stage because it's nicely together to felt it at all. I'm just going to take the next piece, okay, and I'm going to put that there. Again, as before, wrap, keep making sure I'm as nice and ribbon-like as I can, and this time I'm not going to take it quite so far, and then I'm going to come back down again. Okay, and that holds it there. Going to get my third piece, and I'm going to take that round once again, keeping it as flat as I can, just adapting it as I go. Now once again, not as far, and then back down again. Okay, let me grab my needle. I should bring my mat over now rather than just, okay, so I personally am just going to use my light needle because I just want to tack this in place and then have a look at it and check on sizing and things. But if you just find the light needle really doesn't do it for you, then obviously use the more heavy. We're all different as to which needles we like to use, and personally I use the lighter needles more often than the heavier ones, just because it slows things down for me and I can see exactly where I am. If you're at the stage where you're thinking I wish it would speed up, then use the thicker needle, because it all depends where we are, you know. Okay, I'm just evening this out a little bit. Okay, just so that I can see where I am. Okay, so I've got that basic shape that I wanted, and I'm just going to split that bit that I've got left over, and then I'm going to just generally wrap this around that top area, smooth that down because it looked a bit sort of higgledy-piggledy. Technical term, higgledy-piggledy. There we go. Bearing in mind we will still be putting that lovely green layer on top. So there we go. We can, you know, fluff it up or tuck it in. So there you go. I've done very little, and it's, you know, pretty much that shape, isn't it? So I would now just neaten it up, use a little bit more, and then when I get to the next step in this one of adding the green, you see how much green we've got? Loads of it. Fantastic. So you can properly lay that on and cover it and even add to the structure of it, because there's just loads of that, which is beautiful. Fantastic. Okay, now the next part that we've got is the barrel, as we're going to call it, but it's a stand really. It's not a barrel as such, or it's an upside down barrel. And if you look at the shape, this camera seems to be going in and out of focus today, doesn't it? There we go. It's narrow at the top and it is at the bottom, and that's just for standing purposes. So in this case we've got the barrel upside down, and it just means it's got a bigger base, and also it kind of accentuates the fact that the tree is bigger than the barrel, because that barrel's thinner at the top, but just gives you a nice, able to stand it on. Okay, so that's why that's like that. Okie dokie. So I would once again take that little piece and split it into, and remember again with this shape we've got plenty of brown to actually put on and fill it out. See, I've got a very overexcited camera today, haven't I? Perhaps it's the light. I've actually put a different lamp up there. Never mind. Okay, so to get the shape, so I actually to make the stand, you make put it into a ball and then make it into the shape of the barrel. Okay, so the quickest way really to make it in the shape of the barrel is to take your half, and this time we're going to wrap it around 2 fingers. Okay, pick any 2 fingers. Okay, and just wrap nice and loosely round there. Bring it round, fluff it in, put it up, squash it down, and you kind of got your barrel shape. And I bet you it's not far off the size. Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. So that in my world is not far off the size. Yeah. So you've got your shape and you've got your size. Let's just do a little bit of filling. Ooh, flopsy. So you can do that just by wrapping it around a bit more, or in fact, you could wrap it more when it's actually still on your fingers. I might actually use the harder one this time just to get in the centre there. Give it some substance in the centre there. There we go. So here we're just playing with the shape. Once again, make the shape whichever shape you want to be. The barrel just seems like the perfect way to get that stand working. Now I think I've made it bigger now than it needs to be, so you can squash it in. But you can see how once again very quickly we can get the shape, and then it's just all about filling it in and felting it to however strong you need it to be. And the fact that the top is going to be thinner and bend in, I can afford to push that in a bit more at the top. Okay, so I just squish it around until it does, and I will use up the rest of the white wool, and then I will actually wrap it round the other way. Okay, and on top I'm going to take the other piece and do it the other way. I think I had that other piece left over from the tree. As I say. Okay. And I will just keep felting that now until it's down to the size that I want it to be and feels sturdy enough. Like I say, bearing in mind you're going to be adding more of the brown to that, so you can just squish it down, but it starts very easily being that shape and then it's just about perfecting that shape. Okay, good. As always, if you have any questions, put them below with regards to shaping. So the other bit, as I say, is the check, the stripes. Now I'm going to say something that you've got the check pattern here, and you do just do 2 one way, 2 the other way of each, and you start with the really thin blue line, and then you go with the thick green, and then you go with the double. Okay, and just for me, once you've got that first thin blue line down, you can use that for reference of adding all the others. So it's quite good to get those exactly where you want them to be. And to give you my way of doing it, I started off okay with the blue lines, and these thin blue lines, okay, so start at the top and then wind it round, and exactly opposite it ends at the bottom. So starts up here, ends down here. Okay, that very first one, and then you've got the second one which starts opposite and then ends down there, down below where you started it. And those are your first two, and then you go the other way with the thin line again, starting at the top, coming all the way down, being opposite. And once you've got those 4 down, you can look at them, because I'll show you in a minute with regards to doing stripes. But to start with, you can look at them and say, yep, they look nice and evenly spaced. You can carry on from there, or you can move them about if you think, oh no, actually that's a bit wonky that way, because then you can actually, everything is there sort of in comparison to those first ones, and that just makes it that bit easier. So yeah, that's just a blue stripe. That's that lovely mixed green, and then this double line is obviously a thicker line of the blue and then a thin line of this green in the centre of it. So I've got a little ball here. Let me start with just a line. Okay, so you have, let's start, I use the light needle, okay, and you know, it's like, it's a lot of fluff. How am I going to turn that into a thin line? Okay, so once again, if you've got some water or hand lotion, okay, because we don't want to make these lines too thick, and I don't want to pull this out so that it's so incredibly thin I then can't see it. Okay, so I'm going to start by making this a bit more compact just by rubbing it in my hand, and I did this to the length of, as say, from one side down to the other, which isn't that long really. So you can find your best bit in the middle, and if you think, oh, that's a bit clumpy in there, can easily just extend that. So okay, let's go. So firstly, by holding that nice and tightly, you have the start of it, but obviously we have bits either side, and what you don't need to do is to worry about the bits either side, because if you just think, right, I've got that in the right place, so this is where I want the line, and you just start felting down that line, the fibres will just go into where you're felting. And if you need to just very slightly pull something in, you can do, but that's it. Just go along, just felt along the line that you want it to be in, rather than worrying about, oh, have I got it completely straight or not. They will just go into where you are. Okay, let me just finish that, and then you can just brush it up, brush the ends over. Okay, and then if you want to make sure it wasn't nice, and you can stretch it out a bit more, and even that will take your little fuzzies away. But okay, so I mean, and that's as thin a line, well, the only other thinner line is the one which goes through the centre of that. Okay, so if you want it to be really even thinner than that, then I would take that in the top, and twist it. Twist it thin, and then just felt into the middle of it. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, stripes take quite some time. Okay, so you will be surprised at how long the check pattern takes you. Well, okay, let's put that another way. I was surprised at how long the check pattern takes, because sometimes you just think, oh, it's just a few stripes and off I go. Okay, and then let's even going slower there. So once again, because I'm using the thinner needle, and then if that's a little bit thicker than I want it to be, so I'm felting it underneath, if that makes sense. I'm actually going underneath and felting it into the ball rather than felting it into the top where I would make it a bigger line. Okay, so I just go underneath and felt that into the underneath to make it thinner. Okay, and that just gives you a thinner line. I hope that helps. So stripes are, they're one of those things that you just need to practice, and if you decide to do the tartan, you'll get lots of practice. You'll be brilliant at it. But as I say, if you fancy doing a different pattern, if you fancy just using the beads and bells and everything, because that green is a glorious green, and then making your nice little red ribbon at the top and bottom, unless you've got a pretty star or something. But Christmas tree was the remit. This is the way to do the Scots pine, but if you have a different style in mind, then absolutely go with that. So yeah, I don't think there's anything else I need to mention, or that I'm aware that I need to mention on that. So as I said, fire away with any questions that you might have. And if you can see my lights behind me that side, I have in fact got my little penguin. Oh, I love that little penguin, so cute. I've got that in my little lights now. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else. I've sort of gone over my time slot today, so I won't show you around the toy shop today. And I think you've got 3 days gap from me before I have to come on again. So, or before you see me again, I should say. I will leave you in the capable hands of, we will see who we will see in the next 3 days. So happy felting with that Christmas tree. I hope you love doing it. I certainly love designing it, and I was just delighted when I finished it and thought, yes, I love the idea of a Scots pine. I love the idea of tartan anyway, full stop. So yeah, there you go. So I shall see you online.
Hi, good afternoon, I'm Jane, and it's my great privilege to be able to open day 8 on 8th of December, or 17 sleeps till Christmas, which if you look in your book is page 23 of your Advent guide. You'll be looking for a white envelope like this, which also includes a lovely card. And inside, what you should find is a small white ball, felted already, which makes life a lot easier, doesn't it? Some raven, some drizzle, and we happen to know a little cat called Drizzle, bear wool, and some red scarlet. And what we'll be making is a little mini robin. And as they say in the best children's entertainment, here's one I made earlier. It's currently hanging on my little tree. I'm not taking you through how to make the whole thing, because I think the book give some really good indication about that already, but I will just I guess give you some tips and hints about how I go about making things. What I suggest, because I always find that Crafty Kit is very generous in terms of the amount of wool. If you did want to make another one of these, you could take some core wool and tie a knot in it and then wrap it around and felt just to create another little ball if you've not got any more. Okay, the other thing I want to talk to you about is beaks and eyes. Okay, and as you'll see with this one, my beak is massive and I've done that just so it stands out so you can see what I've done here. So there's lots of different ways to make beaks, and the one in the book suggests just kind of felting in some black raven wisp, and that's absolutely fine, and I've done the same with the eyes here, if I can find my camera on this setup. But what I've done for this one, and you know, it's this time of year when we've got lots of cocktail sticks hanging about, is you take the end of a cocktail stick, paint it black, and I've just used literally some acrylic pen paint, so it's not even that difficult. Just painted the tip and then snipped it off with some handy things like this. Hopefully you've all got these sorts of tools hanging around, and then I've used a little awl just to create a little hole where you want the beak, and then bobbed a bit of glue once I've snipped it. As I say, this is a bit big really, but I just wanted you to be able to see it, and then push it in. Okay, similarly with eyes, obviously I won't be using cocktail sticks for eyes, but you could also, if you've run out of your black, use things like seed beads. They're really great. Or, you know, if you wanted to do different colours in the kit, in your magic bag, there's lots of different lovely colourful beads in there as well. Okay, so that is my tips. I've added a little bit of Mod Podge sparkle because it's Christmas and who doesn't love a bit of sparkle, and also threaded a ribbon with some sparkly embroidery wool as well. So there it is, a little mini robin. Enjoy. I hope you're having a great Advent so far, and I hope these tips have been helpful. Okay, take care.
Hello, my name's Janet Peters and I'm one of the top contributors of the Crafty Kit Company. There's 16 more sleeps until Christmas, so I'll be making the mince pie. And inside package number 9 are the following wools. There's the ginger pap, the buttercup, the bear wool, the chestnut wool, and the marigold wool. And I've already made the mince pie, and as you'll see, I fluted the edge because I thought it looked rather nice. And to do that, all you need to do is use the green or the blue felting needle and just gently felt the around the edge of the mince pie. The other thing you can do, at the back of the book you'll find a template which you can felt some of the ginger pap wool onto and then peel it off and then use that to decorate the top of the mince pie, and just gently felt the star into the top like that. If you like, you can also give it a little bit of icing sugar effect, as if it's been sprinkled with icing sugar, by taking a small amount of white wool, which I expect you've already got from another project, and just gently felt that into the top of the mince pie. The other thing I've done as well is to use some of the eco-friendly glitter, and you can sprinkle that on top, a little bit on top, to make it a little bit more Christmassy if you want. If you'd like to use it as a Christmas decoration, you could use one of the ribbons that comes from the side of your clothes, and if you just stitch that onto the back of the mince pie, then you can use it as a tree ornament. It also suggests in the booklet that you can cut a small piece of mince pie out as if it's been eaten, and then obviously you'd need to put some more of the bare wool to make it look as if it's full of mincemeat. That's the completed project. Thank you very much for watching, and I'd like to wish you all a very happy Christmas.
Hi, I'm Sue Owen and I'm here with you on day 10 of the Crafty Kit Company Advent. I'm going to open the envelope with you shortly, but I just wanted to say how much people have said that they're enjoying making the tiny makes on the alternate days using the tiny white felt ball, and today's no exception, you'll be glad to know. So you'll see that I've got some of them already on my now becoming famous Advent hat, and you might notice up here there's a new one, and that's what you're going to be making today. So let's open the envelope and see what's inside. So as usual, we've got one of the lovely Christmas cards, and don't forget, in your little bag of happiness you've got a bunch of envelopes to use with these cards if you want to. And in there we have got a selection of wool to use for our snowman, and contained inside one of the now familiar little white felt balls. Now you're going to be making another white felt ball, but only half the size of this one, and that's for his head. So I'm going to share with you a couple of tips that you might find useful when you've made that small felt ball and want to attach it to the body. So just come with me to the overhead camera and I'll show you how to attach it. So first of all, I wanted to show you a little gadget that you might find useful. When I went on a needle felting workshop in the summer, they gave us all a little plastic dish with a piece of damp sponge in it. An easy way to wet our fingers when we needed to, when manipulating the fleece. This is one of those little dishes that people use in offices and post offices to wet the glue on envelopes and so on, or to count banknotes. So obviously this isn't the only brand available, but I got this one for around £3 from a well-known online shopping site. So the other tip that I wanted to share with you is using a needle to secure your newly felted mini felt ball onto the felt ball that you were given in your kit. Now I actually save all of my old needles, the ones that aren't broken, just the ones that are blunted, and I store them in one of these foam blocks that I got in a Crafty Kit Company kit once. I've probably got more needles here than I'll ever need, but I do find them useful. If I'm making animals, I can use them to hold the ears in place while I position them, or today I'm going to use it to hold my snowman's head onto his body while I felt him together. So the way that he's going to be felted together or joined is with his scarf. So I've already got a piece of the salmon pink felt, and I've lightly felted it. I've guessed at the length, I think it's about right, so I've rounded the ends off. If that's not right, I'm just going to snip it at the end. So I'm winding the scarf around his neck, keeping the two balls tight together. And then the trick is, don't felt in the middle because you're felting into the gap, but felt down from his head into the scarf to hold it onto his head. going all the way around like that, and then the bottom you do the opposite way. So each time you are going into the edge of the scarf and securing it onto the head and the body. So you'll need to do that quite a lot to make it really secure. And the other thing that I suggest, you could do it with your old needle, but I'll use my new one, is to just push your needle inside, back through the head, and just joggle it up and down. You don't need to take it out, just joggle it up and down, and that will felt between the two. And so eventually, if you've had a jolly good felt all the way around the scarf, that will keep his head stuck onto his body. You might notice that I'm using one of these holders for my needle. They have been mentioned and you can buy them from the Crafty Kit company. I use this because I have arthritis in my fingers, and I find it incredibly easy to use the needle, whereas holding just the needle is quite challenging for me. So I thought I'd just share that with you. I'm just going to show you how you can use the sponge with the fleece. So you just get your fingers in it, get a little bit of water, and it then becomes quite easy, especially for me with my hard to use fingers, to roll those little balls of wool. It's also more hygienic than licking your fingers. And there I've got one of those ready to be felted on. The alternative way that I use to felt on the black fleece is to do what I call the cotton wool method, or rather the candy floss. Just poke it, twirl it around your needle, and then poke it in again, and keep doing that until you're happy, and then just felt it around the edges. So there we go. I hope that helps you, and I hope you have a lot of fun making your snowman. I can't wait to see them. Of course, you can change the colour of the scarf. You could give him a different hat rather than earmuffs. You could use, like I've got on my badge here that was made for me by the lovely Anna, you could give him black dots of coal for his mouth. It's entirely up to you to make your snowman just how you want him. Have fun. Here's a little bonus for you at the end of my video. Look who's come to craft with me today.
Hi there!
It's another Sue Underwood, and I'll let her explain who she is and why she's here.
We met on Zoom on the Christmas Advent calendar last year, and we've kept in contact through our Crafty Friends Zoom, and then all of a sudden found we actually lived only a few miles from each other.
Yes.
So now here we are.
I can't get rid of her. So before we go off and craft, we just wanted to wish you all a Merry Christmas.
Hello and welcome to day 11 of the Advent Calendar Reveal. I'm Stephanie, and today in our reveal we are doing the lantern. There you go. So I do particularly like the old-fashioned lanterns and things. So when I was given this particular remit, I think perhaps can we see it on here just a little bit better. Yeah, I love the idea of all the iron and bits and the glow from the lamp inside, as if it's got a candle inside it, really. So that was my motivation, let's say, for doing it in this particular style. So what we're going to do, let me first of all show you my little sample that I've got here. Okay, so in fact I can just hold it, which is quite nice, which it's got its own hanger, isn't it? So for hanging from the tree or wherever you're going to hang it from, it's already halfway there. So I think you could possibly see that in the colour, in the yellow and the light part, it's quite variegated in its colour, and I'm going to show you how to do that. I do explain briefly how to do it in the instructions, but I think sometimes it's just that little bit easier if you see it done. And it's very much, you know, constructed bit by bit, doing the square shape, creating that cover, let's say, and the little rings, etc., and then the decoration. Okay, so going to go to the overhead camera so that we can look at the instructions and also look at what you actually get in your bag. So let's go over that, and then once again swing round with the camera, get it in the right place. There we go. Okay, I think that's good. Right, here we go. So here's our instructions, and here we have bag 11. It will be one of the really rolled up, nice squishy ones with lots of fluff in. So, okay, so we've got our white core wool, we've got our brown bear. Love that colour, bear. It's brilliant. It's just got enough of different sort of colours in there to make it give a bit of depth to it, whatever you're doing. And these glorious colours for the lantern, for the lights. Okay, so let me just put those ones aside at the moment. Once again, I will say it because I don't think you can say it enough. Fluff up your walls before you start. Get it nice and fluffy, and then fluffy is flexible. Perhaps I should have that as my byline. Fluffy is flexible. There we go. So nice core wool, and same with the bear. And then you're using the bear colour to make your construction for your top and your colours, etc. And you're using the core wool to make the core shapes. So as I say, I was just going to go through that one element. I'll just talk through the rest in case it's of any help. Just to say that the colours and the core. So yeah, so we're starting off with our shape of the lantern, which is this sort of square. Now, as you can see in this one, because what I tend to do when I design is I do the shape completely in the white to start with, and then I start adding the colour. So that's why I've got this one which has gone a little bit beyond where I normally would, or I have shown you how to do in the instructions in the white. But we make the basic shape, then we make the top shape and add that on, and then create these brown, oh, what's that shape? No, is it a pentagon? Oh, I know that's wrong, isn't it? That's wrong. Anyway, I'm not gonna delve into my brain to get the right shape out. Anyway, we can see that it's that shape. It's not apparent. No, stop, Steph, stop. Look it up and put something on the screen if you need to. Anyway, so when you're making that, you're doing initially a nice flat piece. So you're just taking a nice hand-sized piece off of here. Ooh, bring your mat forward, laying it on your mat, and then making that into a nice solid piece which you can then cut into those shapes. Now, the main reason why I say to do it that way rather than just to lay it on is because we want to get this bit of an overlap, yeah, of the lantern. And the best way to do that is to have the shape and then add those like plates going on afterwards. And then when you're felting that in there to make it stay, you can get some more of the brown and just lay it over the top to help you to anchor it in and then anchor it underneath, etc. But that's my main reason for doing it separate, is just because I wanted to find a nice, fairly simple way of getting that ridge over the top. And then of course we've got our decoration and our hoops, and even here I think I've put the 4 little ball feet. Can you see that? Yeah, 4 little ball feet. And I think you can see a little bit better on this one where I actually just put the plinth, and that's where I have created a sausage with a cocktail stick, you know, wrapping the wall around the cocktail stick and then just felted it into the bottom so that you've got a plinth there. Right, now I wanted to just go over getting this kind of variegated look for the lamp, because I think it's quite a nice effect when you've got your iron corners and then this lovely cross effect, to have that kind of glowiness in the middle there. So let me just show you briefly how to do that. And I've taken off some little pieces over here, because you really don't need, I mean, you have plenty of these colours, you really won't be using anywhere near that amount. But I just want to show you, it's about less is more really in this case, because what we're going to do is we're going to lay the darker colour and more to the outside of that shape, and then we're going to take a small piece of the yellow, put that on top, and then a really tiny piece of the white bit and put it in the middle. Okay, and the great thing about this is because it's layering over it, it doesn't in any way need to be accurate as in lined, because that would be the worst thing to do. Okay, so with your needle, and in this case my blue light needle, it really is a light tap. I know that sometimes it's easy to distort your piece when you're adding colours and decoration and things, and my tip there is to just do it very lightly. Think of it as a 2D picture where you're almost tapping the needle, because you really are just adding it. Think of it, you're adding a layer of skin on top rather than really taking it in. You don't want to take it right into the centre or anything. Now I'm just flicking the wall so that it's going within that square, because remember we're going to actually have the dark brown around the edges. Also, when I did the bell earlier and then used that bubble gum to give it that kind of verdigris effect, you could do that on this one too if you wanted to make it slightly different. I mean, I truly believe that instructions are just a guide. Okay, we all love instructions to help us get going in projects, to give us, you know, the direction of where we need to go. But I think that's what they're there for. They're there for as much as you need. And I think what I do is the first time I do a project, I do it exactly as the person says, because I like to get confident. But then the next time I do it, I'll just add my own detail and do what I want. But so that's where it depends just how confident you are or where you are in your journey as to what you want to do with the instructions. But they're there as a guide, as a version of how to do it, rather than this is the way you must do it. Right, now we've done a very light layer of the orange there, and I don't know if you can see, but you can still see some of the, you know, white. It's not on evenly, and it's not meant to be. Okay, so now we're going to take a really nice small piece of that yellow, and in fact that might be too much. I mean, start with less and add more if you need to. And this is where I'm just going to concentrate more in the inside. I mean, I say the centre, but it's more of the middle, because the centre there we're going to put some white on as well, but it's just to give that nice little shine out from the, and once again I'm doing that light tapping action. I don't want to distort the shape that I might be very happy with. you just get it right, don't you? And then suddenly you're like, oh no, perhaps I should have left it the way it was. But there we go. And then you can decide, so like on this one, can you see over here, I put a bit more round there, so I'm going to just add a bit more of a glow round there, so it's similar. But once again, remember there's going to be this crisscross and that in the middle, which will help with the effect. Right, so there we go. So that one's brighter than that one, but you can see how I could actually take it even more if I wanted to, and then just with the white, really go nice and soft with that in the middle. And that gives you that variegated effect. And once again, it's up to you how far you come out with that. But once you've got that cross in the middle and the bits around the outside, you'll have that lovely glowy effect. So it really is laying very light layers on top of each other. So rather than actually mixing the wool in your hand, you're actually doing the mixing and the adding of the, it's like layers of paint if you were doing a painting on a canvas. So there we go. Right, that's right. Did I was there anything else I wanted to add there? No, I think the instructions and the pictures take you all along. As always, if you've got any questions, if it's not clear, if you want some direction, put a question below. Always here to help. Otherwise, really looking forward to seeing your lanterns, to see if you do it exactly the same as me, see if you add any third degree, whether you know, I'm quite sure I know somebody's going to add some glitter. But anyway, really look forward to seeing what you all do, and I shall see you next time. Happy felting! Hello! So this is an addendum to day 11, the reveal. So there's been at least one question with regards to shape and size of the lantern. So I thought, I started answering them individually, and I thought, you know, it's probably just as well if I just jump on and say. So firstly, in step 2, where I say the finished shape, the finished size will be 6 centimetres. Now, when I read that earlier today, I suddenly realised that actually could be thought of, that what I mean is the shape that you're making in step 2 should be 6 centimetres tall. But actually it means the finished shape. So like your lantern from there to there is 6 centimetres. So making the shape, the bottom shape in step 2 is 4 centimetres. Okay, so I think I may have slightly misled you in that, because when you're making that shape, you may just see 6 centimetres in step 2 and think, right, that's what you're making at that stage. And I obviously in my head thought I was giving you an overall so you knew how to gauge it. So apologies for that. But if you've made it longer, then you've got a lovely long lantern, which, you know, is letting out more light. How nice. Okay, so the other thing is with regards to in step 2 and 3, if I bring in my little instructions over here. So we're making that square shape for the main part of the lantern, and then in step 3 you're making 2 square shapes which basically sit on top of here. Let's look at my in-between stage. So you're making that sort of square there and then a smaller square there to go on top. So you're making a square base here to start with, and then 2, one slightly smaller, one slightly on the top, so that you can get your nice little angled top there. Okay, so just to say a couple of ways of doing that. So here's a 1/3 piece. So in order to get that square shape, a nice way to start that and get that going is to do the wrapping around your 2 fingers. Okay, so bearing in mind 4 centimetres is going to be the sort of finished. So yeah, that's going to be about that width anyway. So just literally wrap it round, okay? And just by doing that, it's kind of, no, it doesn't hold it in place at all, Steph. So just hold it and take it off. And then she says, stretching across to find her needles. You can see I'm very unprepared here, and literally just thought, oh, I'll come on and do a very quick video. So now just start felting that in, because that will be far too tall at that stage, which is good, which means you can felt it into size, and it's also going to be about 3 centimetres across, isn't it? Yeah. So, and that's going to be too much too. So that's good. Are they both? Right. Which needle shall I use? Needles everywhere. Okay. So just taking your needle into the center. I'm using the lightest needle here at the moment because I just want to get that all felted in place. Okay, so let's use a heavier needle. The green needle is a heavier needle, and squash in the top. So we're going to obviously creating a square shape, but at the moment I'm kind of ignoring that and just getting it into a cylinder, roughly the size, but not quite, because it's always good to have it slightly bigger so I can actually shape it a bit more. And now as I'm doing this, I'm thinking if I bring it in on all four sides, that does actually help to create a square. So if I'm just squishing it as I go around almost into sort of square shape, that will help me on my quest. And then let's go around one side. See how quickly that actually is going into a square, isn't it? Just by me saying, right, I'm going to felt that all four sides into the center, not all the way down into my mat. Okay, and yep, still big, that's good, which means I can felt that down more. Yeah, felt that into the center, tidying that up. And once I've got it pretty much into the size and the shape, I can tidy it up a bit if I want to, or I can just leave it and go on to the next stage because, yeah, it's still too tall. Brilliant. I like it when it's too much because it's much easier to shape it and just reduce it. Now, if you're really struggling to get that smaller, okay, so for instance, I mean, it is just a little bit too much, I would squish it down with my fingers and then felt it into that size. Yeah, onto that side, and then that side. Okay, and then that side again. Okay, and there we go. Very quickly, you've kind of got that. Now I would then myself take the lighter needle and just neaten that up a little bit. But bearing in mind, you are going to be adding the glow and other fibres onto it as well. I wouldn't worry too much, but that's how very quickly you can get that square shape, square oblong. Now the little squares which go on top, so there's another third which I've split in half. So I'm going to check what sizes I have said. So create 3.5 centimeters, right? Yeah, so slightly less. So this is 4, so that's 3.5, using, because you want this bit to be slightly bigger because we're going over the top. Okay, so that's about 3 centimeters. We're going to make the square about 3.5 centimeters so that it's slightly overhanging. Okay, right, so best way to do that, I would myself start with the shape. So I've got about 3.5 that way. Okay, measure 3.5 that way. So I've got my square shape. So I now know it's in there that I want to create my piece. Now split that in half to start with, fold it up and put that in the center of that shape, which I know is the right size, and just felt that into my mat. Once again, I'm going to say again, because we keep saying it, that I've got my felt on top of my mat, and then I've also got my little sort of gauzy thing underneath as well, because it just helps me to lift things off when I need to. Okay, and so when I'll add a bit more because I think it's supposed to be about 1.5 centimeters high, so it needs to have a little bit of height on it. So I'll put that in, and over the other side. I'm just trying to do this quickly, guys, so that it's not like a full-on tutorial and you can get on with your projects. Okay, so then I fold it over. So where I've already done my line into the mat, I can then fold that back over, and then you've got your square shape. Okay, and then do that. It's the same on that side, and that's the same on that side. Okay, and then we use the other half of that third to make that which is 3D, isn't it? And then the next one is slightly smaller and only 1 centimetre thick, yeah, because you want the sloping side. So I'm just going to pull that off a minute and show you that on top of there would be slightly bigger, and then you would do the other smaller one on top there, and then you could actually have your sloping sides. But that's very quickly. Obviously I would neaten that up a bit more, but just to show you how to make the shapes. I hope that helps, and yeah, I think, and just to clear up that issue with the sizing of the height in step 2. Okay, happy felting.
Hi, I'm Anna Arujo from California, USA, and I have the pleasure of bringing day 12 to you. And I have a little hint. Okay, let's get started on number 12. Drum roll, please. And here it is, a mini sprout. Yay! That'll be on page 33 of your book and 34. But let's see what's in the bag. Ho, ho, ho. Here's a nice Christmas card. And when we open it up, we're going to find lemon lime. Oh, very generous in our lemon lime. And then leaf, white, black, and of course for her cheeks, salmon. And there's also going to be one little felted ball. Okay, my tip for you today for making the leaves on the sprout is you need to have 6 circles done. So what I've done is I'm going to make a paper stencil. You know, I love doing those. So make a circle 1 1/8 inch, or you can use the same size as your 2-pound coin, or I found this little chocolate coin. You know who he is. Trace that down on your paper. Then with a pair of scissors, you're just going to simply cut out the circle. Just a little piece of tape to close the circle off. And now you have a perfect little leaf. You can make all your little leaves. So how I did that is then you're going to just simply pin your stencil onto the paper. And this was a tip that Kat gave us little a piece of paper behind, which is brilliant because it really works well. And you're just going to simply put your little piece of your lemon lime, and you're going to just go right to the edges of the circle stencil, like that. You're going to keep working that out. You get the idea. So when you're done, it takes a couple more minutes, and you can also go in with the 3-prong to get it done a little bit more. Then all you do is just remove your stencil like this. Lift this up and peel off your little circle. Now you're going to definitely work them better than I did at that point, but you're going to do 6 of them. Here we go. There's 6 little circles, and look how easy those were. Now, for our next step is I'm just going to sit these guys up here. And you're going to take your ball. Now, I remember a couple people saying that they thought the ball was really stiff to felt in. And my tip for you is take that ball on a hard surface and roll it around, just like this. And that's going to help break up the fibers in the center of the ball. And then it'll make it, see, look, it's already more squishy. It'll make it easier for you to felt. Then take your little ball. I've covered it in leaf. And then you're just going to simply take your little leaves for your sprout. And you're going to felt them on as you go, but I'm just going to show you here how I did it. So you could see. Like this. And like that. So go ahead and felt those all on. And then once they're felted on, you want to put a bottom on too. So let me bring in our little girl. Look at, she's so cute. And you could see how there's the felted leaves and the one on the bottom. And then just go ahead and follow the directions to do her face. I just love this little project. And she's so cute. She's good enough to eat. I hope you enjoyed making our little sprout as much as I did.